Good morning, everybody. It's another beautiful day here at Rose Cottage Acres, and I can't wait to show you what I have. Very pretty little blue speckled egg here. It's definitely a blue as opposed to the brown, so that's exciting. My very first egg layer is a Celadon egg layer, so that's going to be a lot of fun. And hopefully we'll have some more eggs pretty soon. I have trays and trays like this. And I've still got, it just had our hard frost, so I'll have to pick a few more tomatoes. These are actually all ripe. They're that variety, the green Venice. I can't remember exactly how to say it. There's a couple other varieties in here as well, but for the most part, they're all the ones that look like they're still green, but they're soft and they're ripe and we need to use them up. So trays and trays of tomatoes. So my first chore this morning is to take all these pine needles, rake them up, and protect the strawberries. Pine straw is great for strawberries because they're acid loving. They don't mind at all, and it's the perfect, not too weighty. They don't rot the leaves by being too heavy. So we're gonna rake all this up and put it over on the strawberry bed and then my raised bed that has some strawberries in it. Now it's not actually that cold out, but I wear a scarf because the asthma really makes it hard to breathe if the cold air hits my throat. So if you've been having problems with breathing in the cold, you may want to try that. But I've got a decent amount of leaves here and I'm ready to go dump them on the strawberry patch. These guys are amazing. They're an ever-bearing variety and they had berries on them right up until 2 days ago with the frost hit. There's still actually a couple on here that didn't quite ripen, but for the most part they're done and it's time to put them to bed for the winter. You can see my big weed is an absolute pain, but they sure are beautiful in the spring, are these violets. They are everywhere. So I got most of them out, but there's still a couple I missed, and I can see them now that some of the foliage has died back. I try to keep them in check so that they don't take over and push out my strawberries. I'd missed those couple. So there we are, this little back bed, which has some very small, they're called Attila, and I got the seeds from Baker Creek strawberries, and then my Bavarian strawberries out front. One pine tree had plenty of pine needles for that and enough left over to leave some under the tree to feed the soil and keep it healthy. So I try not to rake up everything, but if you leave too heavy a layer of pine needles or leaves on the ground, it does tend to kill your grass, which could lead to erosion. So you kind of have to strike a healthy balance. And I'm not too worried about having places for little critters and all to overwinter by raking up the leaves, because I don't rake anything back there or over there. You see there's a ton of habitat for the wildlife still. My plans didn't completely cover everything I'm having to do today because the frost came last night and took these guys down. So it's time to harvest the Yacon and see if these volunteer sweet potatoes actually gave me any tubers, because they got hit as well. So it looks like the summer garden is officially done and we're on to the winter garden. Got a lot of garlic coming up really nicely here. I don't know if the beans are going to end up doing anything. They really haven't budged much. My shallots are looking amazing. A little bit of spinach. Then I've got a whole lot of carrots under here. It looks like the basil's still growing. I'm surprised. But I'm assuming no more okra. It looks very spindly. And as you can see, I've been working on covering my figs for the winter. I'm hoping with a nice big pile of leaves over the roots that if they die back to the roots, they'll still come back. And I also left the black landscape fabric to absorb as much heat as possible. This is the first time I've ever tried growing figs that weren't against a house wall. So I'm not sure how they'll fare, but I'm giving it a try. And the peas are just, please just punch with this weather. The lettuce is still doing okay. I almost prefer the fall winter garden except for the snow and the ice, because you have a lot fewer pests. All this eating the leaves of my brassicas is going to go away. And we'll just have a whole bunch of big healthy plants. If I'm worried, I can just throw a bit of the remade fabric or one of my plastic tunnels over them to overwinter, and they'll do fine all winter long. But I probably won't even bother covering these radishes. And I may not cover the kohlrabi because they did fine last year with such little protection. And then of course, for the January, February bitter winter weather, I've still got this bed growing on. So they're really doing well. Seeing a lot of leaves developing. And my winter potatoes are untouched by the frost, so they look good. Now this bed does need frequent watering. I don't know if I'd use this organic raised bed mix again because it doesn't seem like it's holding enough water. But except for that, it germinated pretty decently. The beets still struggled a little, but everything else came up too thick. So we're doing good so far. Here we are. Now these are not designed to really do well in our climate, so I'm surprised I have anything, but I do have some tubers here. I'll dig around and see if I've missed any, but they don't look like they grew a ton. You can see the difference. This is what you save to grow them next year, and this is what you eat. So the ones you eat will have to cure on a windowsill for a couple weeks to get some sugar into them, and these other ones will have to be stored somewhere where they don't freeze so that they can be put out to grow again next year. So as a first year, and these were tissue culture plants I bought from Baker Creek. They didn't even have one of these crowns. This developed over time in the dirt. So next year I should have a better crop. I'm surprised I got any tubers this year since they were these little tissue culture teeny plants. So I'm pretty happy actually with one or two little tubers. So this is really interesting. You can see that here I've got some really nice big corms. Here I've got one teeny tiny corm. The one with the nice big corms produced one tuber, and the one with the one itty bitty one produced 3 tubers. So they had different methods of trying to propagate themselves, I guess. I have to trim off the extra greenery and stalks and then just let them dry out, and then I can store them for the winter, and hopefully they'll survive till next year and I can have a new bigger crop next year. Now the sweet potatoes, these were just tiny roots that got left in the ground, and they actually produced another tiny crop of tubers. Unfortunately that one a bug got, but I'll cook it up for the chickens, and then 3 more. So that was not a bad harvest. I mean, that's a meal. So I've been busy procrastinating all morning, to be honest. I got a lot done, but what I'm really doing is avoiding this. Yep, the frost has gotten it. The loofah gourd vine needs to be pulled down. Actually, it has gotten so heavy that it's taking the arbor down with it anyway. But I wanted to wait till the very last minute, but you can see it is time. It's going to be a big job because the gourd is everywhere. And we'll see, hopefully some of these have had enough time that they've formed sponges. I guess only time will tell. Some of them, I can feel like this one I think is too soft. And that one feels soft, but this one feels like a rock. So maybe one or two. Right, so my mom came and helped me and we cleared this off, but you can see there's going to need to be a lot of repair work. It's barely standing because of all that weight. So next year, this is not going to grow loofah gourds. It's going to grow, the Chinese long beans did really well on it, so I'll probably just grow beans on it. Here's our harvest. These smaller ones should be able to be used as zucchini. And these larger ones, hopefully some of them have sponges inside. Just have to wait and see. And a couple more of the Chinese long beans are on there as well. But it's not a bad harvest for a nice crisp November day.